I have a question. Why is Disney so terrified of Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo? Why is it that they are working so very hard to keep two people off the board of directors that actually know a little bit of something about business, and in the case of Jay Rasulo, actually know how to run Disney successfully from the financial perspective? I mean, after all, Rasulo was the chief financial officer. So wouldn't he know how to do that? And as far as Peltz is concerned, this is a billionaire, somebody who is deeply invested in Disney and has given you all the reasons why. So I ask you one more time, why are they trying to keep these two men from having 2 of the 12 board seats for Disney? I'll tell you what, we've got a thought. And we also have something I've never seen before. The brutal takedown of somebody trying to get on a corporate board, a board of directors, in a political hit piece video. Yeah, from Disney. So let's get into it. But before we get started, my little buddy down here, Punk Waddle, wants to remind you that I have a website you can pick up merch from, beachpunk.us. So you can go check that out. The site's down in the description below, and it supports me and my channel, and I would truly appreciate it. Also, there are about 60% of you now that are watching my videos, especially recently, and you're still not subscribed. So make this the day, and I will thank you in advance for hitting that little subscribe button and turning it from red to gray. On that note, let's get right into this. So Disney has branded activist Nelson Peltz disruptive and destructive. I don't know how they would know that. They have a brutal 3-minute video takedown and a campaign to keep the billionaire father-in-law of Brooklyn, Beckham, from joining its board. It's turned rather toxic. This, of course, is from the Daily Mail at thedailymail.com if you want to go and check this out for yourself. And it is surprising. I mean, I agree with them. This is wild. Why are they this worried about this man? I mean, this guy looks like grandpa, right? He's got some pretty good takes on business too. But Disney released a 3-minute takedown video to try and stop billionaire activist investor Nelson Peltz from joining its board of directors. They would rather have people that support forced labor, like the chairman of Nike and some other people with some iffy past on that board of directors, probably because they're wholly owned or in the pocket of Bob Iger in a way that, well, it takes a long time to craft a board that's going to say yes to everything that you say, including some very bad ideas. But they're calling him disruptive and destructive. And Peltz, well, Peltz has been Trian's fund manager and founder for a long period of time. And Disney lashed out yesterday in a political-style video trashing the activist shareholders' motivations and qualifications in an increasingly bare-knuckled proxy battle. Now, mind you, this is right after an amazing, I don't know what other, a town hall and you know, a Q&A of sorts from Trian Group with both Peltz and Rasulo answering questions from people who were supposedly stockholders. And they didn't actually come off as attacking Disney in their video or in that video town hall in any way. And I guess the video was released online. Disney said that Peltz has a long history of attacking companies to the ultimate detriment of shareholders, and said it would be disruptive and value destructive to include him and crony Jay Rasulo. Well, I have to tell you right now, many of the corporations that have had Nelson Peltz on the board, who also came in very similar ways to get on the board and turn shareholder value to something positive, he's got a history. And a lot of those companies come back and say, hey, we never should have resisted you. Thanks for coming in and fixing things. Of course, that's because he fixes things. Anyway, This is part of what was said. Disney could suffer the same fate as other great companies that Peltz has previously infiltrated, such as GE and DuPont. Nelson Peltz has a long history of attacking companies to the ultimate detriment of shareholder value, claims the narrator. Of course, these are pictures of him and obviously his daughter Nicola. And this is a page from their VoteDisney.com site. Having Peltz on your board seems to be more value destructive, says Fortune magazine. Really? Anyway, so they believe his quest to win a Disney board seat, it argues that seems more about vanity than belief in Disney. I don't think that's the case. If you listen to the man speak, if you've listened to him on shows on CNBC, and if you even value the opinion of Jim Cramer, who recently said he's going to vote for Peltz, that says an awful lot. Cramer's been on Iger's side for a long time for no reason and with, no reasoning involved. So we'll see. But anyway, in the video and regulatory filing, Disney underscores Peltz's connection to former Marvel Entertainment chairman Ike Perlmutter. That's a bad thing? I thought that was another voice that was on the inside of the company and led you to an incredibly successful run with Marvel Studios. The man who actually sold you Marvel Studios, and you're going after him? They describe him as a disgruntled former employee. The dude gave you Marvel, you nincompoops. Anyway, the Peltz is the founder of Trian Fund Management, argued in his own presentation that Disney was slow to adapt to industry changes, including streaming, made errors in acquisition strategy, no doubt about that, the Fox deal specifically, and bungled succession planning. None of those things can be argued. In fact, they're still suffering under the weight of streaming, and they still don't own Hulu yet. That's still not decided. It's still not finalized. I mean, they've decided to buy it, and they transferred some money over to the folks over there at Comcast Universal, their now biggest competition going forward, because, well, they refuse to acknowledge them as such. They are going to suffer in the theme park industry because of it. But anyway, Hulu still isn't owned fully by Disney yet. They're still trying to come to an arrival at a price, and they'll probably try to push that off as long as possible, leaving shareholders with less value, which is what Peltz is trying to prevent. So, look, Jay Rasulo, they say, was passed over for promotion nearly a decade ago and hasn't been employed since leaving Disney. That's a lie. It's a terrible lie. The company's updated proxy describes Rasulo as Perlmutter's guy at Disney. I'm not sure that's necessarily accurate at all. In fact, when you're running in these rare air circles, you often cross paths with people a lot. If you're like one of the handful of people that can be trusted as a chief financial officer for a corporation the size of Disney, there are not that many of you running around. It's a small club. They kind of know each other. Anyway, when Iger informed Perlmutter in 2015 that Rasulo would not become the company's next chief operating officer, Perlmutter responded, "You broke my heart." Probably because he understood that Rasulo understood the direction Disney needed to go. Clearly, there was a little bit of what somebody else brought to the table that somebody else had built up and planned that Iger was able to take advantage of through 2019, through, the end of his tenure in the 2020s, I believe. And as Chapek came in to replace him, Iger still didn't let go fully and still tried to puppeteer the company outside of Chapek's control, who really only was operating the company for 11 months and had already started to turn certain things around, including the stock value, which, well, didn't last all that long, but reached a company record high that I think everybody would like to see the company get back to. Unfortunately, under current leadership, specifically Iger, the company's lost a ton of money and a ton of value, and is now, flirting with heading downwards again under the $100 mark if certain things don't turn around soon enough. I mean, we've been looking at it, fluctuating in that $110 to $112 range for the last few days. But anyway. But they say Jay They say Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo threatened to jeopardize the incredible progress the company has made since Bob Iger returned as CEO. No, the quote-unquote incredible progress was only because of the last time Nelson Peltz came in and urged them to do what ultimately got done, including offering up a return to a dividend. Anyway, so the ad came alongside a 66-page regulatory filing, which included some other stuff, but nothing compared to, Peltz's 133-page document, of which from page 122 and on, all of the things that Disney's been doing wrong and failing, including the amount of days that you'd be underwater if you'd invested in the Disney company, and it's a staggering number of days. So neither Peltz nor Rasulo have the skills to help Disney, the company argues. And the criticisms obviously elicited a swift response from Trian, which was, Disney's investor presentation is long on aesthetics and excuses, full of barbs, unbecoming of a company like Disney, and devoid of even a claim that an incumbent board has generated strong returns for shareholders, which is true, because they haven't. So you can see that that 133 pages is very, very damaging to Disney, as was that town hall that they successfully held. But Disney's updated proxy filing goes further, noting that Trian was terminated as an investment manager within the company's pension plan in 2021 after underperforming the S&P 500 by more than 500 basis points on an annualized basis over 8 years. Wow. It says Peltz offered excuses for underperformance, so they're just exchanging barbs there. So the election for the board is happening on April 3rd, with a second investor group, Blackwell's Capital Group, looking to fight their way in. Blackwell's is not qualified in any way, and they have a terrible, terrible filing. Anyway, activist investor Peltz nominated himself and Rasulo on the board of the entertainment giant directors in January, slamming Iger as underperforming, which is true. Right now, the Peltz's Trian Fund Management owns about $2.5 billion in Disney shares. And this is year 2, or second, proxy war. Here's the thing they attack him for. The iHeartRadio stock price performance fell 76%. He was brought in to manage the collapse. These guys are silly. Regardless, I find it rather fascinating that Disney is this afraid of this man getting 2 board seats when they would still control and hold the majority. If you want, you can certainly go out and find the video where Disney essentially attacks Peltz and Rasulo and says all of these things. But I'm not certain that they make their points very well, nor are they very convincing. Disney's a far cry from that near $200 range that most of the stockholders would like to own the company at. And I don't know that they will ever return to those heights without a change in leadership. And I mean massive board of directors, CEO, and probably CFO and all. I think that is the only way forward. But I ask you, what do you think? Do you think that this is effective at convincing people that Disney's under its best possible leadership structure? Do you think Disney, wow, that was terrible. Do you think Disney is actually worried about having 2 people have, well, a pretty good insight into what exactly they've been doing wrong? And a lot of people have speculated, and maybe that includes you, that Disney has a lot of dirt under the carpet that they don't want anybody else to see or even maybe accidentally find. I would imagine a company the size of Disney under some very corrupt leadership, there'd be a lot of that there. Look at what they found with the audit of, well, what is now Siftod, but was previously Reedy Creek under Disney's operation, which never should have happened. Anyway, on that note, feel free to answer those questions down below. Let me know those thoughts, and hopefully we can have a conversation this time around. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.